Howdy, Larkin Rose here, and this video is not about politics or philosophy or any of that fun stuff. It's about music. I got an idea and I want to see if it actually works and if there's any interest, and if so, I'll keep doing it. If not, I won't. I started learning piano a million billion years ago when I don't even remember how young, 5 or something. I had older brothers and an older sister who played piano, so I was kind of surrounded by music. And I took piano lessons for, I don't remember, it was so freaking long ago. Might have been a year, 2, might have been less, I don't know. And learned essentially nothing. And then my brother Sean sat me down for 5 minutes. All of my siblings are older. I'm the baby of the family. And taught me in 5 minutes what I didn't learn in a year or whatever of piano lessons. And so I found that sort of annoying. Like, why didn't they tell me that? So I've taught a few people keyboards in a very unorthodox way, and it's actually an easy enough thing to teach by just doing little videos. So I thought what I'd do is do a little one, post it as the first in maybe a series, and then if people are interested enough, they can like donate $1 here and there, and if I get enough, I'll make another one and post the next one. And they'll stay up for free to anybody. It's not like you have to pay $1 to get it. It's if I get enough donations to make it worth it, I'll keep making these little 20 or 30 minute lessons in little chunks. I don't teach sheet reading, music reading, blah, blah, blah. I don't teach English either because I can't talk apparently. I do everything by ear. I have an older brother who's ridiculously good at reading sheet music just on the fly. I just never did that. I don't care. So if you're into that, go somewhere else. I don't teach that. But it did occur to me that a lot of people, when they watch music or watch somebody playing keyboards or piano like this, it just sort of looks like magic. Because if you don't know what you're looking at, it sort of seems like, how does somebody just memorize which of these things to hit and when? Is it just magic? But like a hell of a lot of things in life, if you learn how it actually works, you go, oh, okay, that's kind of way simpler than it looks when you don't actually know anything. So I want to start all the way at scratch, which I've done with a number of people already. But I want to do little video versions, start all the way from scratch and actually teach from the ground up, but teach not only so you can actually do fun stuff really quickly instead of do finger exercises for the next 6 months until you're bored out of your gourd and would love nothing more than to never hear another note of music again. But also so you can write stuff, which hardly anybody teaches. They teach how to play other people's stuff, and they never focus on like, well, how do you write your own stuff? Like, what are the rules? Now, I'm going to start right off by saying, if you literally walk up to a piano and don't know anything and just play around and see what sounds cool, which I did starting when I was like 5, and accidentally find things and go, hey, that's kind of cool. That's a perfectly legitimate way to make music. It's not very efficient because you'll play a million things that just sound utterly horrible. If you know the rules, quote unquote, enough to sort of know the sorts of things that will probably sound good instead of just random and horrible, then you can have fun and write stuff a lot faster. But it's really just sort of what sounds cool and what you'd like to hear. So I'm going to start all the way at nothing with this video and assume somebody doesn't know anything about anything. Don't know the names or anything. Because somebody, if you're interested in music and want to actually make music, you can get to making cool sounds that are actually fun to make pretty dang quickly if they teach in a non-stupid way. So I wanted to make these videos to teach in a non-stupid way because I don't really see anybody doing. I mean, I'm sure other people are doing things along similar lines and whatever. I just haven't seen it because I don't pay that much attention to it. But classical piano lessons I just found boring and obnoxious and really inefficient. So I'm not going to teach you sheet reading to read music. I'm not going to teach you proper fingering on a keyboard, because what I found, I learned the proper fingering on piano and then forgot it, and then by playing, you accidentally learn how your fingers have to do things in order to play the things you want to play. So if you try to play everything with one finger, you'll quickly realize, I can't really do things fast enough. So I don't teach fingering. Along the way, you'll accidentally learn it. Now, there are some habits that it's good to not get into crappy habits, because then you have to unlearn them and learn it the right way and stuff like that. But I want to focus right on how you start making sounds with a thing that looks like this without them sounding utterly horrible. I don't care what style of music or anything else. So I'm going to start off from ground zero and post this free one and see if there's any interest. Okay. Thing one to mention, you look at this big thing. If you have no idea what it is, and this is only part of it, it keeps going off the screen in both directions. If you have no idea what this is, it just looks like a random zillion sets of notes. Why are there white notes and black notes? What's the difference? Why is there this weird pattern of there's 2 and there's 3 and there's 2 and there's 3 and blah, blah, blah. First thing I'm going to mention is octaves. This pattern, 2 black notes and then 3 black notes, is repeated here. Where the pattern repeats, that's called a different octave. Now, if you're not at all familiar with music, an octave is sort of a strange phenomenon, because in a way, it's the same note, and in a way, it isn't. For example, Mary had a little lamb. Move it up an octave. Notice it's the same song, and yet, no, it isn't. It's a higher pitch. But when you move something up an octave, it's actually, if you want the technical thing, it's doubling the frequency of all the notes, but they sound similar to your ear. You can tell it's higher, but it sounds like a similar pattern. So, when a piano player looks at a keyboard, he doesn't see a bazillion unrelated random things. He sees it in octaves. And that this pattern is repeated here and here and here and here and here. So it's really just one pattern of 12 notes, wherever you want to divide them, repeated over and over again in both directions. 88 to 88 keys if you're on a full-size piano. Now, you may wonder about the white notes and the black notes. There is kind of a rational basis for why they are the way they are, but if you're a beginner and you're learning, I'm going to explain it by beginning to say there isn't really a reason for them to be why they are. The 2 reasons for there to be white notes and black notes that I can actually think of that do any good on for normal people learning. One is so you can see where the hell you are. Like if it was all white notes or all black notes, to be non-racist, you wouldn't know where the hell you are. You'd have to count from the bottom up to find the right note. This you can, and when you're moving around, you can just glance, and when you're used to this pattern, it tells you where you're trying to move to instead of just a never-ending stream of notes. The only other reason to have the white notes and black notes is it makes it easier to reach a bunch of them at once. Whereas if they were just laid out side by side, some chords would be like this wide and your hand can't possibly reach it. So this just makes there be more notes within reaching range that otherwise would have to be farther spread out. Other than that, for now, there's no significance between white notes and black notes. There's no difference. Think of the scale as 12 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Then the pattern starts again. Now, this is middle C. This note is called C. Right now, I don't even care if you remember that. But if you start at any note and you go up 12, this is C as well. And it keeps going. These are all the notes there are on a keyboard, except they show up in different octaves. So there's only 12 notes. Now, the fact that they're in this weird pattern doesn't matter. There's no significance to the pattern as far as playing a thing. You can play Mary Had a Little Lamb in one place, and or a completely different place. So, they're all just notes. You can imagine them as if they were just in a row. And the biggest problem that happens as a result of having black notes is it's easy to think that these are the notes that matter for some reason, the white notes, because they're sort of the obvious ones. And here's what makes it even worse. I'm going to tell you this. Don't bother to remember it at the moment because it's not that useful, but I'm going to explain it because later on it'll make more sense. The notes are named after letters. Here's an A. If you want to find an A, you find the three black notes together, and it's the white one between the top two of the black notes. That's just an arbitrary thing to remember. The notes are named like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then it starts at A again, because that's an octave up. Here's the idiotic thing. There are 12 notes. Why don't the rest of them have names? Like, if it made any sense, it would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and then start over at A. So they just skip a bunch of them in naming, and then they have to add a thing to name the other ones. It's just, it's utterly ridiculous. It's like, I'm going to count my fingers. I can call this one 1, and this one 2, and this one 1, but then a little bit more, and this one 2, but then a little bit more. It's the way that the notes are named is just ridiculous. You just kind of have to learn it. So the white notes, it's kind of racist, the white notes have their own actual names, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it starts over, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The other ones are like, this is C sharp. This is C. This is C sharp. Again, don't bother remembering this at the moment. It's not really useful at the moment. F and F sharp. B and B flat, which is like B except a little bit less than a B. Flat means a little bit less than a. And sharp means a little bit more than a. So you can call this C sharp, C and a little bit more than a. You could also call it D flat, D and a little bit less than a. So it's ridiculous. But along the way, I'll teach you the names of the notes because that actually matters. But yeah, the naming convention and the way it's organized is kind of ridiculous. It's like the least efficient thing there could possibly be. Ultimately, the names don't matter. They're just a way to refer to notes. So, now you have all these notes with a bunch of weird names. I'm not even going to teach you the weird names of the black notes yet. But I want you to remember that it's a 12-note scale. And then it starts over. Here's A. Here's A. Now, this is... I'm not even going to really get into that. There are other cultures that skip some of these notes. There are other cultures that add some in-between notes. For the most part, they sound really weird to Westerners like us because we're used to hearing the equal temperament scale that's 12 equally divided frequencies until you get up to the octave, and then it keeps going. So I'm not going to get into weird intonations and weird scales like that. So the first thing to know is that this pattern just repeats. The whole octave pattern repeats all the way up and all the way down the keyboard, and it's the same thing. So I can go C, C, C. Those are all just C notes. There's another one up there and down there and past where you can even see on the screen right now. Now, here's the most important thing. This is probably the last thing I'll do in this short little lesson. In this little freebie that I'm giving away, I'm going to teach you in 5 minutes what my brother taught me after a year or whatever, I forget how long, of piano lessons. Didn't teach me this. Basically, oh, by the way, let me preface this by saying every single rule I describe, there are exceptions to it in music. It's like, never do this, except when you do. And never do that, except when you do. And this always goes with that, except when it doesn't. So, but I'm teaching you the general rules, and, at the end of the day, it's what sounds cool to you. So if doing something against the rules sounds cool to you, then let anarchy rule. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a thing to do so that you can go up to a piano and make a thing that sounds like a thing. If you pick any note, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Never mind the name of it. Not even going to tell you what the name of it. There are two main kinds of chords. There's other things that get added, but basically there's two main kinds of chords. They're called major and minor. Major sounds happy. Minor sounds serious or sad or something. From any note, the way you find it is you press the note, you remember where it is. Going up, counting every one, you skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and play the next one. So you remember those two. From there, you skip 2, 1, 2, and play the next one. So there is a major chord. Happens to be D major, but it doesn't matter if you know its name. You can do that with any note. If we start there, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and play the next one. Skip 2, 1, 2, and play the next one. Those 3 notes make a major chord. The only difference between a major and a minor chord is this middle one moves down 1. So the difference there is, for a minor chord, you start with the note, any freaking note. You skip 2, 1, 2, you play the next one. Then you skip 3, 1, 2, 3. Play the next one. That's a minor chord. So pick any note, and if you do skip 3, skip 2, that's major. If you do skip 2, skip 3, that's minor. Again, skip 3, skip 2 goes like this. There's the note, skip 1, 2, 3, do the next one. Skip 1, 2, do the next one. Major chord. If I wanted to do the minor, it's do the note, skip 2, 1, 2, it's the next one. Skip 3, 1, 2, 3, it's the next one. Now, the homework I'm going to leave you with for now is, if you have a piano or a keyboard anywhere, literally walk up to it, close your eyes, find a note, and then find the major chord of it by doing the skip 3. Remember to always include white and black notes as you're going up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. And notice it's a thing that sounds like music. And the minor is just skip 2. Notice that if you do skip 2, skip 3, it's the first and third notes are still the same. The only one that changes is the middle one. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that's the minor. It skips 2 and then it skips 3. This is the major because it skips 3 and then it skips 2. So you can do that with any note. Doesn't matter if you know what names they are. Basically, if you can count to 3, you can find any major and any minor chord. And the vast majority of songs you're ever going to hear are made up of major and minor chords. There are some weird little things added to them some of the time, but a lot of the time it's just major and minor chords. So immediately I botch it up. There's literally 100 popular songs that are exactly that pattern. These are just 3 major chords. C, F, G. So your homework this time is just to, next time you get in front of a keyboard, do the skip 3, skip 2 thing. Randomly pick a note somewhere in the middle. If you do it too low, it starts to sound really weird. Like still a chord, but it just sounds like the end of the world. Randomly pick a note and do skip 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2. For extra credit, find the same chord an octave higher. So if there is A, see that between the top of the 3 blacks? Here's the 3 black, there's the A up there. You can do the same chord here. Skip 3, skip 2. Ta-da! So there's your homework. So that's just going to end this one. That's the one I'm going to do for free. I haven't even decided. I'll make up a price that if people donate, and I don't know, totaling $50 or something, I'll make another one and post it too. And go from there. So yeehaw.